Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner Davis.
And yes, we are live. Good evening. I'm your host Ed McQueen on today's critical issue, and of course, wouldn't be there without Miss Garner.
Good evening, everyone. Yes. How are you, Brother Edward?
Good. My sister, how are you? What about you?
Yeah, everything is fine. I'm just trying to navigate this weather that is.
Oh yeah. What is the weather in Winston-Salem? Well,
I heard that you all are getting some of the icy, wintry mix as well. Is that true?
Yeah, supposedly tonight.
Supposedly.
Supposedly tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to that kind. I don't mind some good cold weathers in order to offset the horrible summer. Clear up some of the air, but not that night. Okay, but anyway, the tonight's topic supersedes all that what we're talking about, which has some critical concerns. I'm sure for everybody. Some people, don't hear about it at all. But anyway, this evening we are going to talk about, as our promotion stated, human trafficking, and especially in Horry County. Now, for those of us who are not aware of what human trafficking is, well, of course, we'll let our guests really go in depth as to what it really is, and especially how it's applicable to Horry County. And that's it's a real tough issue in Horry County, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll get started, see what we can do with this hour. And April, let's start with our guest.
All right. Okay. Well, tonight we welcome our special guest who will talk to us about this, as Brother Edward said, this critical topic. We have with us Captain Sherry Smith and also Shelbia Wiley. Thank you both for joining us. We really do appreciate seeing you tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. So the fight against human trafficking, and like Brother Edward said, this is a topic that we can't get away from. It's always, one of the things that is a part of the push when it comes down to public safety and just, human safety, trying to make sure that everybody understands what human trafficking is all about, and also wanting everyone to understand that it impacts more people than you know. And so I don't know, how much our audience knows about it, but we do encourage you to post your questions and comments for our special guests, who will do their best to explain not only some of the definitions and, give us some knowledge of what human trafficking is all about, but we'll also talk about their push towards public awareness. They'll share some stats with us about, the great work that's being done to mitigate this problem. And then they'll also talk about some collaborations and partnerships that are happening in and throughout Horry and Georgetown counties. And so we've got a lot of great information. It's always good when we're bringing these kinds of topics, Brother Edward, that, people not only watch, but we ask you to share the broadcast live while it's happening and even after the broadcast, because this is information that is, first of all, as Brother Edward would say, it's free 99. So we're bringing it to you as a public service announcement, as a way to make sure that the community stay educated, and you can share it for free. We're bringing it to you for free. So without further ado, we'd like to thank our special guests for being here. And we'll allow the two of you to introduce yourselves to our watching and listening audience. So we'll start with Ms. Shelby, since you're immediately to my right.
Yes, good evening. I'm Shelbia Wiley, the Executive Director of Engaging Mind Services Incorporated. We are a nonprofit that provides services to victims of human trafficking.
All right.
Do you want me to get?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Smith, and I'm a captain with the Horry County Sheriff's Office. And I'm also serve as the chairperson of the Coastal Region Human Trafficking Task Force, which is a regional task force, which is a part of the South Carolina State Attorney General's Task Force, Human Trafficking Task Force. We serve both Horry and Georgetown counties and the 15th Judicial Circuit. And Shelbia and I work very closely together. So usually when you see one of us, you see the other one. We're always
Yes. I know. I thought I've seen that pair someplace.
yes.
the dynamic duo. Well, thank you so much for your introductions. And so, Captain Smith, I'm going to lean into you for just a second. You describe the service areas as far as the task force and the outreach. But tell us exactly what a human trafficking task force is and what you do on like a regular or daily basis.
We do a lot, don't we, Shelbia?
Yes.
So our task force is, like I said, is a regional task force which serves the Horry and Georgetown counties. And it was formed, oh my gosh, we've been involved with it for almost 9 years now down here. And it was going on before then through the South Carolina Attorney General's office, like I said. And so it's a group of people that we've come together. We're made up of law enforcement and civilians who are out there just actually trying to raise awareness, get the word out, prevention education about human trafficking, what it looks like, what to do if you suspect it, how to identify it. But one of our main goals, and Shelby and I will both talk about this, one of our main goals of our task force last year and this year is to get the word out to our children, our parents, kids about online safety and the dangers of, the internet and knowing who you're talking to online, that kind of stuff, because these children are at risk by using some of these social media apps of being tricked, coerced, blackmailed into trafficking situations.
Speaking of the online scenarios, I dug up some statistics on from a group called Parents Together. Right, it's a nonprofit organization providing independent reporting and commentary on issues that affect children and their families. But one that stood out for me was that 1 in 3 children are first exposed to social media at age 5 or younger, and they get hooked quick. And says 1 in 3 children are expected to have an unwelcome sexual experience online before they turn 18. So, Sherry, I've seen you spill out some statistics at a couple of your programs, and they were rather startling, by the way. If I'm sure you're going to go over some of those this evening with us, but I just want to put that out there for the some statistics out there for our viewing audience, and. But it goes on to say that 43% of kids exposed to inappropriate sexual content online were under 13. That's a real problem, isn't it? It's a real problem.
It definitely is. And that's one of the biggest things that Shelby and I talk about all the time is we're in an age right now where every person has a cell phone or a tablet and somehow attached to the internet where they have access to the internet. A lot of our children in schools, well, all of our children in schools now have tablets or computers, right? Shelbia is our educator. And so they have access to computers and stuff and these apps all day long, every day. But also, just like you said, under the age of 3. So how many parents, and I'm guilty of this too with my own niece and nephew, if we're in a restaurant and stuff, and I'm just giving them the phone to put on Netflix. I choose it. I don't just give them the phone and let them, play with the phone. But how many parents do use it just to pacify their kids for a minute so they can have just a moments of peace? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but if you don't monitor that, and you have TikTok on your phone, for instance, and they get on TikTok and start scrolling, you don't know what your children are exposed to, right? So it can start out completely innocent, and then they're hooked. My niece especially, she will sit there and watch her tablet all day long if you let her, because they're just entranced in that. And then just nowadays, we always say this too, just on regular television. how much nudity and stuff are we exposed to just watching regular TV that we weren't exposed to before? Our children are seeing this on just watching TV. They're on YouTube all the time. If parents don't put those parameters out there and put those security places in place, monitors in place, our children can get a hold of anything. And so that's why those statistics are so alarming, because it's right at our fingertips.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to add that, when we give our kids these devices, we're sharing our child with the world. We're saying, okay, here they are, have at them. I know we're not saying that in reality, but that's exactly what's happening. Because kids, many times, they want attention, they want love. And we talk about this a whole lot, because the reason they are talking to strangers, those people are giving them some attention that we're not giving them. We used to have time where we're with our families in the evening having dinner, but now maybe the world is so busy, and parents are also, many times they're on social media. So the kid is closed in their rooms with their doors closed, and, we don't know exactly what they're exposed to. And these predators are very they're very cunning and sneaky, and they'll do anything.
Wickedly smart.
Yeah. And they'll get to our kids, and a kid can just post something just simple as, I hate my mom, just mad for a moment. And there you go. I know what and here comes this cunning person behind the scenes saying, I know what you're going through. I feel the same way. I'm sorry you're going through that. And they appear to be the sweetest, kindest person in the world to children, but children are vulnerable. And if they're vulnerable, they don't know how to judge whether a person is a predator or not. So we have to be so careful how we give our kids these devices without any kind of, things on them to protect them. We can put them on private. That's one of the ways we can keep our kids safe, making sure they're on private. And many times we talk about, we can also make sure we're checking those phones, checking those tablets, so you'll know. I mean, you have to do it randomly. You have to, if we're going to keep our kids safe.
But unfortunately, that provokes them to be creative, to get around what they've been restricted to do. Okay.
They do. And I was just going to add also to that about, also what our parents are doing too, especially the younger parents who have grown up with social media. They're actually making videos with their children, innocent videos. I'm not saying, provocative videos or anything, but like making these TikTok videos with their children in the videos. So that's another way our children become addicted. They like to look at it. They're performing with their parent, and that they're trying to go viral. So, I mean, that's another way that our children get hooked. Their parents are doing these videos with them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And,
so I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
How we take pictures of our kids and share them on social media as well. It might be just an innocent little picture with a little cute dress on, and we're exposing them to all of these predators, and they can take that picture and they can manipulate it and add a body with it. So we have to be so careful not to share pictures of our families on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially if they're well versed in AI.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great part of this conversation so far, because whenever we think of human trafficking, for those of us who are, I guess, kind of exposed to messages and who might be, following it in some form or fashion, I think that the average person kind of thinks of human trafficking as, someone rolling up in a van, picking someone up, and that person disappears, and it becomes a part of this critical issue that we're talking about today. But what you've brought to light is the fact that there is a possible starting point to all of this, which is linked to the online presence. And so as you do your work in Horry and Georgetown counties, do you have any, insights that you can share of, what that connection is in terms of the cases that you dealt with, where it started with like an online connection and then it, ended, unfortunately, in a human trafficking situation. And how do you even track that sort of thing?
So I would say when you were talking about, and I'm going to try to pull up a stat real quick for you, but when you were saying like some of the victims that we encounter, say, and I'm looking at that South Carolina Attorney General's annual report when I'm doing this. So data through the Department of Juvenile Justice, there were 63 total juveniles that were identified last year in South Carolina as being a trafficking victim. And a lot of those, and they said, some of how they were found were like runaways, assault and batteries, and things like that. But runaways is how I see a lot of the juveniles, is through runaways. And it's just like Shelbia was saying earlier, they're vulnerable. They go out and meet these people. They meet them online, and then they get talked into going to them. Like they are meeting up with them. So they're running away from home and meeting them. So it's a lot different. Yeah, Ms. Davis, like you were saying, that old school, like getting in a white panel van and taken away and then sold into slavery. That's not what we're seeing here. We're seeing that our young people are actually willingly running away and going to meet these people because they have been tricked into thinking that that's their boyfriend or girlfriend and that they love them, or they're going to take care of them. They're going to protect them. They're going to give them whatever it is that's missing out of their life. That's what they promised to give them. And so that's what we're seeing a lot. And that's how we identify. That's how I've been able to identify them. And I know Shelbia is kind of a little bit different because they reach out to Shelbia for help. But for law enforcement, they're not coming to law enforcement for help, right? So we see it a different way. So I'm seeing them on the back end after they've gotten in trouble for something and they've come to court. We partnered with our family court system and our juvenile solicitors, who they say, hey, Sherry, we have a juvenile up here that we think that her behavior is making her at risk of being trafficked. Can you come and give her and talk to her? And so I see a lot of juveniles through the family court system that may not be trafficking victims, but if they continue with the behavior and the path that they're on, they're at risk of being trafficked. So that's how I come in contact with them, or through parents that call and say, hey, my child's, talking to someone online or sending photos to someone online that they don't know. Can you talk to them, or can you talk to them about their behavior or things like that? So that's how I'm seeing these children more than anything else. That's how I'm coming in contact with them. And I know Shelbia, she has a different way.
Yes, I do. When they come to the office, sometimes we get our clients through referrals. They may be referred through TVAT, which is Trafficking Victims Assistance person. So they actually send the clients to us. And many of our clients recently have been survivors of labor trafficking. And they're all ages. They're not just children, they're children and adults. And, people always talk about they and I get this question all the time. Do you get your clients? Are they coming through the border? And I have to answer the question. The clients that we get, no, they're not coming through the border. They're actually brought here into the United States for work, or, they're local. Because a lot of times that's a myth. Sometimes they think that all the clients we work with are coming through the border, and they're not. But so we get all types of clients, boys and girls. Let's not forget, they're not just girls. We also see boys. And matter of fact, our first client ever was a boy that was 11 years old that was trafficked a year and a half. And that was actually sex trafficking for that particular student. Then I had another boy that was actually labor trafficking. He had never been to school, and he was made to work, with his father alongside his father, just like he was an adult. So our clients are a little different. Since 2021, we've actually served a little over 164. That was my last count. I know Sarah keeps adding to it, but 164 clients since 2021. And these clients are being referred in and out. And they're not all like Captain Smith says, they fear the police. So many times, because their trafficker told them to fear the police, and they're going to do this to you and they're going to do that to you. So they have this fear. So our job and our goal is to kind of bridge that gap between our agency and law enforcement. and allow them to know that we're all working together for the betterment, for the good of them. And so that they can have some help that they need, because we provide those services they need. That's why they keep coming, that counseling, that, life skills. We provide job readiness skills, food, clothing, housing assistance. So that's what they're looking for when they actually come through our doors.
Mm-hmm. And so you've kind of given us a really good segue when you started talking about the referrals that you receive, and because the question of public awareness and whether or not people understand how they can get in touch or find out more about what is going on with the human trafficking crisis, and how they can get more information to help combat it. We do have a viewer tonight, Mary Skinner Jones. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Miss Mary. She said, this is so informative. Is this information available to churches to reach more children or in the school system? I imagine that topics that are kind of sensitive in nature are sometimes difficult to communicate in certain, across certain platforms or in certain spaces. But, do you see that there's some outreach or collaborations with churches and the schools? And are they intentional about, trying to get this information in, or even more so intentional about allowing you to come in and talk about human trafficking?
Well, our churches, yes. We go to churches all the time, all denominations. Matter of fact, last year we did quite a few presentations at churches. And we actually present to their youth groups, to adults, and many times they invite us during morning worship. And that's powerful, because we have the audience, we have that parent audience that we actually need, so that we can talk about human trafficking and prevention and awareness. We also have an opportunity to go into schools, mainly when they have parent night, or sometimes, I think recently, Captain Smith went to one of the local middle schools, and was a career day, I think it was. And they got to share at career day, which was a very powerful event. We do need to however, we must get into schools, because we've got to get to the child level and to the parent level. So we think that's critical. And our main goal is to keep our community safe. We're all working towards keeping them safe. The only way we can keep them safe is educate. Educate. And we're available to do that. People can reach out to us, and we'll come to any church, matter of fact, any school, and we'll do presentations. Sometimes we get a chance to go to businesses and present to their employees, because if we have all of us working together, paying attention to our environment, knowing who's around us, and if everybody is on alert, we have less people that are being trafficked.
So I know you were just saying that you need to get into the schools. Has it just been difficult to make that connection, or are there some conditions and or I guess barriers that keeps you from going into the school system? Because there's probably some educators who are watching, and it would be nice to have them understand what your challenges are and what kind of support you need in order to get this information to the students. So like you said, it's one thing to speak to the students, but it's also another thing to speak to the parents. What can the school systems do to support you, Ms. Wiley, and of course Captain Smith, in what it is that you do?
They can invite us in. We're available to anytime for parent groups or during the day. We have been in some schools, during the day and work with the students. We actually did a session at one of the high schools for, it was like a 5-day presentation. It was very impactful to our students. It changed their lives. So if we could they contact us. We have a webpage on Facebook for Coastal Region Human Trafficking Task Force or Engaging Mind Services, and just let us know they want us to come into the schools. We'll be happy to do it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Believe it, I never heard your group before until Sherry brought it up. But I think I've seen you all together, I believe, in some cases. So, Sherry, what can you go over some of the most chilling cases you've had
Chilling. So some of them, there's one that's pending right now that I can't talk about, but right now we have 3 defendants in Horry County that are pending a human trafficking case, and that one was pretty bad. I guess some of the without talking specifically about cases, I'll say that I've seen a lot of juveniles, one in particular that was sold into 3 different trafficking rings. She was forced to sell herself even when she was pregnant and having a miscarriage, because her trafficker was still trying to force her to, make money. They don't see the person as a person. They see him as, someone that makes money for them, And we always say, like with the drug dealer, if they run out of a drug, they got to go get more drugs to sell. But for a person, they can use that person over and over and over again. So seeing some of these women that I've talked to and the things that have happened to them is really pretty horrific. And that's why we try to get that word out there, especially to our teenagers, because this young girl that I'm talking about, she was only 17 when I met her and had been in it for a while. I've seen 13-year-olds that were trafficked by their parent, or taught how to post ads to sell themselves by their parent. That's just unimaginable for me, as a parent and as a mom, but also, as a law enforcement person, just angers me so much. But that's why we're out here doing what we're doing and trying to spread the word and get the word out there. And going back to the schools, I would say the Attorney General's office has a program called Traffic Proof. They work with SCETV to try to get into the schools. They have been training our children advocacy centers to go into the schools in case, and they're using that child advocacy people, because if they happen to present at a school and a child discloses that something has happened to them, then they have the expertise and the knowledge on how to deal with that child at that moment to get them the services they need. Like Miss Wiley, Shelbia, she's also been trained as a child advocacy person, and is and can help assist any child with whatever trauma that they're dealing with at the moment to get them through that. So we work really closely with that. But again, we got to get back into the schools. We got to see as many kids as we can. We got to talk to as many children as we can, and as many teachers as we can, because our teachers are with our kids more than our parents are. And so they've got to be trained on how to talk to the children and not overreact, and what to do if a child does disclose to them that something is going on with them or something's happened to them. And I know the biggest thing that our teachers I think one of the biggest thing our teachers see a lot is they've had a student that says, "Hey, I sent an inappropriate picture to someone. What do I do now?" Or someone's blackmailing me for more pictures because I've sent one picture. What do I do now? And so we've got to let our teachers know that there's help out there and that they need to contact law enforcement so we can try to help these students and not judge them for sending that image, because everybody makes mistakes, right? So we've got to make sure that they know, like, don't judge them. Preserve that phone. Let us talk to them. Let us talk to the parents, and let us see if we can try to find out who the person is that is sending the picture or blackmailing them with that picture.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I wanted you to go over something like that, I wanted to be very impactful for the viewers to know, so that it hits them in such a way that they can take this very, very seriously and do whatever they can in order to prevent things like that. And if they see things occurring like that, I want them to know. I wanted you to give that kind of narrative about all the horrific things that you've seen throughout your employment there, I guess.
Right. I understand. And I'll just give you one example of how easy it is for these predators to get to our children. And I tell this story all the time. Is several years ago, there were two young girls. One was in 4th grade and one was in 5th grade. And one of the young girls got a tablet for Christmas. Her mom wouldn't let her have her phone, but gave her a tablet. And you know what a tablet is? It's just an oversized phone. Basically, you still have access to the internet and stuff. And so they downloaded an app called Musical.ly, which is now TikTok today, but then it was Musical.ly, and it was a fun little app for kids, and it was like a lip syncing app. And they just got on there innocently, making videos just like people do on TikTok all the time. And someone like swiped up and said, "Hey, I really like the way you sing. Y'all are doing a good job. Y'all were pretty," and just kind of chatted with him back and forth. And then said, "Hey, do you have Instagram?" And of course, they didn't have Instagram. So whoever this person was then directed them on how to download Instagram, how to bypass the security, because you have to be a certain age. He told him how to do all of that, or I'm assuming it's a he. We never did find out who it was. So then they started posting pictures on Instagram. And by the end of the day, between the chatting and the direct messaging and the posting, this individual had these two young girls sending pictures of themselves nude from the waist up. Just in the course of one day, that's how quickly this predator got to them. And they were just innocently, playing on their phone. But that's where we are today. And that's why we got to get that message out to our parents that you have to pay attention. And this parent did, not while it was going on, but at the end of the day, in the evening, she grabbed the tablet and started looking, and she found that they were sending these pictures. So she was able to stop it before it really got out of hand. But they had already sent the images by then,
Mm-hmm.
So, but she did contact me, and we were able to try to do some stuff. And I talked to the young girls, but just that quickly.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Wiley, you mentioned earlier some of the services that are offered through Engaging Minds, and you talked about the counseling, the life skills, food, housing, and you said that this is what these victims are looking for in terms of assistance. And so, as far as the I guess you could say the success rate, or the ability for you all to deter any, I guess, behaviors or activities that would possibly put these victims back in harm's way. How successful have you been in terms of, really changing the mindsets and helping people to kind of rehabilitate so that they, understand that what happened to them may have been a traumatic experience, but, it's not what they have to live with forever, or it's not anything that they need to return to. So, tell us a little bit about some of the success stories based on the services you provided.
Oh, definitely. When the survivors, we call them survivors because they are, when they get
Mm-hmm.
to us, actually, they're ready to, they're looking for something better, a better life. They want out of trafficking, or out of the things that they've actually gone through. But it's not 100%. 5% of them may go back into the life. But the majority of the people who come to Engaging Mind Services, we have to say is successful, because they have gainful employment. They get that counseling that they need to be productive citizens, and they love that. Do they still suffer with the trauma? Yes, because the trauma doesn't go away 100%.
Mm-hmm.
They still deal with it, but through counseling, they learn actually how to deal with the trauma and all the things that they've gone through. We continue to. One thing we do that I love is, even after they exit our program, we have that built into our process to check with them to make sure they're okay. So we never, ever let our clients go, no matter
Mm-hmm.
how long it's been. We're going to call, or we're going to follow up if we have a contact number for them.
And so that kind of leads me into the next part of our discussion, the collaborations and partnerships that are part of what you all do, and that probably are extension of the work, because I can imagine that Engaging Minds can't do it all possibly. And it does take a village in order, to keep this type of thing from happening, or, to at least, alleviate some of the problems that exist as a result. So you mentioned earlier that Children's Recovery Center, Rape Crisis Center, and Family Justice are, three of the, I guess, larger partnerships that you have. Tell us a little bit about how these collaborations come together, and, what exactly it is that is offered through these various agencies.
Well, we have a representative of the ones that you just named, the Rape Crisis Center and Children's Recovery Center. They're actually a part of our task force as well. So
Okay.
we do collaborate and work together, but it's so much broader even than the couple that you just named. It takes We have healthcare partners of South Carolina. We have Little River Medical Center. I mean, it just goes on and on. Grocery stores, churches, think about supporting us, organizations, restaurants, all types of businesses. It takes a village. And one of our mottos is don't do it alone. We know all
Don't
of
do it
us.
alone.
Yeah, don't do it alone. That's the first slide in leadership training, and we use that going forward because we know we can't do it alone. In our task force, we work closely together. We're a team. We're a family. We do everything together because the reason that we have engaging mind services is because the need arose in our task force, and so that's why every member on our task force is supporting the work that Engaging Minds is doing, and Engaging Minds is supporting the work of the task force. So but we need all community partners. We have volunteers all over the county, and if anyone wants to volunteer, or if there's a business that's listening, say, hey, I want to be a part of that team, please feel free to contact us because we know working together, we can make a difference in the community.
Right. And we also have, and I did mention earlier, and to go along with the nonprofits, we have all state organizations too. So we work closely with local law enforcement in every, so in our county and in Georgetown County, so there's a representative or someone I can call from every law enforcement agency in Horry County. So Horry County Police, Myrtle Beach Police, North Myrtle Beach Police, Loris, Aner, Conway, Surfside. We work closely with them. We work closely with SLED. We work closely with, federal partners through the FBI and Homeland Security. So we work really closely with all of them and collaborate with them too. And they have to be a part of that. And of course, through the AG's office, we have, a partnership with them, and they are there to assist us in any way possible too. And also just with like Horry Georgetown Tech has helped us. I mean, there's just so many, just like Shelbia said, to name. Department of Social Services, Family Court. I can't express, and the Rotary, like North Myrtle Beach Rotary especially has helped fund an app that we have on our phone that's out there for people. You can download it from the App Store. It's Coastal Region Human Trafficking Task Force. It's the acronym for that. What is that? CHRT. I always forget it, but you can download it from the App Store. But we partner with the Rotarians, and they've been great partners with us and help get that message out. And we've talked to several of their organizations and other civic groups, and it's just like Shelbia said, we can't do it alone. We need everybody's help.
Yes.
So let's get to some, I guess, budgets and funding. Are you supporting any federal funding?
Just Shelbia, yes.
So are we concerned about the controversial cuts that seem to be looming over everybody's head here the past week or so?
Well, I just believe that what we need would be available when we need it. And yes, everybody was a little unease when we heard about the cuts, but I just believe that, even if we don't get federal funding, the work must go on, and that we're going to have to implore our community to come together and let's do this work together. And I believe the funding will be there. I'm just going to believe that. I just believe it to the end, that everything we need is in the house. I believe it.
So we have a couple of comments from our viewers. Ms. Mary Skinner Jones again asked, is it true that she typed mid? I don't know exactly what that means, but is it true that mid human traffickers are in the tourist areas? So maybe it's many. Yeah.
Most. That's they're everywhere, not just in the tourist areas, but it does seem to the numbers seem to go up, or in those tourist areas at times, because there's a greater number of people in there. But I would say it's here all the time, not just during the tourist times. It's here every day.
Mm.
And
then
say that.
Okay. And then Reggie Dyson, thank you for watching tonight. Where does Horry County rank in the state as far as human trafficking is concerned?
So right now we're second in the state for tips that have been called into the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Last year we were tied for first with Greenville County. This year Greenville's first and we are second. But I also like to say that that's not a bad number. That's a good number, because that means we are getting the message out there, and if victims are needing help, they're calling the human trafficking hotline for help. So I think that that's a positive, not a negative. As far as the number of cases, we're not even in the top 5 as far as the number of cases, reported incidences. We're not in the top 5 for that, according to the AG's report. But we are number 2 in the state as far as reports into the human trafficking hotline.
There's something that go ahead, Brother Edward.
So relative to technology, has there been any explorations of improvements by using more advanced technology, or is that can that be a tool other than just social media?
You, as far as what they're saying,
Human trafficking, yes.
Human trafficking, as far as like people being exploited by trafficking.
Yeah, but preventing human trafficking.
Preventing human trafficking.
Yes.
So the biggest thing we do try to do is get the message out there by using social media. We try that. We have tried through the AG's office. They've done campaigns out at the airport. They've done billboards out at the airport to try to, get the awareness out there. They have partnered with one of the local beer companies and put it on their the back of their trucks. The human trafficking hotline. So there's a lot of prevention and awareness education going on out there. Of course, the posters are in every restaurant, bar, and they're mandated by the state law to be in these restaurants and bars and hotels. So, and when you go to some of these hotels, if you go on the restroom, you should see a poster, and some of them will put them not just in the restroom but in the lobby, which is, we really like to see that too. So there are other places, but a lot of people go to their phones. Their phones are in their hands at all the time. So, and if you want to look up something, you're going to go straight to the internet. So we got, the focus is through there. So we send people to the AG's website, to the National Human Trafficking website through Homeland Security. That's another one through the Blue Campaign. Any of that information, and then of course through social media.
Okay.
I thought it was an interesting point that you mentioned earlier. I think it was Captain Smith, or maybe it was Miss Shelbia. But anyway, you were talking about labor trafficking and mentioned the, I think it was the parent involving the child in trafficking. And I think that's an important call out, a point to raise, because I go back to, what we see as traditional messages or images or thoughts or whatever about what trafficking looks like. So when you have a situation where it's a domestic type of a situation, I guess is what we can call it, where there's like a parent that's involved or whatever, is it more about the victim doing the outreach and then you find out that there's a case, or how does that come to light? Because I imagine that those cases are kind of harder, or should be harder to identify and even deal with, versus what you were just talking about, which is, things that could possibly happen on the streets or in bars or whatever. So kind of shed some light on that part of it. And because I think it's important for the audience to know that it isn't just what you described in terms of like the touristy type areas, but it's happening in like domestic settings too.
Oh, I'll start.
Okay.
Because we have to think about with labor trafficking, because that was what we are focused on right now. Mm-hmm. You have to think about, so where does it take place? Is what we do. We have different places. We have restaurants, agriculture. We have massage parlors. You may even see them in nail salons. Hotels. So those are some of the different places. I'll leave anything out, Captain Smith. But those are the places that we labor traffic, and then domestic servitude. It could be also in a home where somebody's actually working as a nanny, And so to a person that's a community person, when they see that happening, they don't know that's labor trafficking,
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks just like somebody working in a restaurant or working at a nail salon or working at a massage parlor. They don't have a clue that may be labor trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to kind of pay attention. Sometimes people may give you a note, or you have to watch those signs, such as sometimes when you see a group of guys, a group of people, and when they go into a store to purchase something and they can't talk and they can't purchase something for themselves, sometimes that's labor trafficking. So we have to kind of look for those things, and look for those signs. I question a lot. I know I look for things, but I do question a lot because I see things, but our job as a community, because people want to know what can I do if I see something that I'm concerned. The thing you can't do is try to accost that person and say, well, you don't do that. That's not our role as a community. All we can do is report it. We can use the 800 is 888-373-7888. That is one number we can call. We can call 911. We can text, be free. We can go on the app, the CRHTTF app. And, there's so many different things that we can do to report it. Because when I see something, even though I work in the field, I don't know what's going to happen to it, but at least I report it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. Even when you go to the park sometimes, like I did, I saw a man pull up in the park, and he pulled up beside me. It was 90-some degrees. He put his window down. He didn't have any children. He was watching the kids. That was a red flag to me.
Mm-hmm.
He thought I was taking a selfie. I was taking him. I took his license plate tags, but you have to be very discreet when you're doing that, because labor trafficking, it's really everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in Horry County, as we said before, it's totally everywhere you go. And if we see something that we are concerned about and we think it's labor trafficking, we need to report it.
Right.
Yeah. I was going to say, Ms. Davis, I know another place that we see victims is in the hospital. So if they go into the ER to get some kind of medical help, we have nurses that are trained to see that and call and report it. And so there was one instance of labor trafficking with a juvenile that he was dropped off at one of the local ERs to get help and just left there, So that's another partnership we have with our healthcare, just like Shelbia said earlier, with our healthcare partners. And that's one of the places that we'll see a lot of labor trafficking victims, or possibly could see some labor trafficking victims, is through the healthcare system when they go to get help.
So the question is asked, is there a specific age range for human trafficking? And I think you touched on that like very early in the conversation, but we got a couple of people join us since we started. So age range.
Could be any age, anything. I was trying to see on the report if they had it broken down by age here, but I don't see that readily available. But the ages that I see a lot are 11 to 17 is who I see a lot of. And then there are a lot of young adults too that, in the 20s that are victims of the sex trafficking. And I'm sure Shelbia, she has a wide range, I know, of victims that she has.
Yes, we had some as young as only a handful, though, a 5-year-old. But that was familial trafficking. It was something that was happening in the family. I had a 51-year-old, but he was labor trafficking. He was actually working in IT, who dressed every day to go to work, but he was being trafficked. So that age range is pretty broad, but majority of them is the same age that Captain Smith says.
Yeah, I was going to say, just on the website, they can say last year, through the Attorney General, there are 392 total victims, and 315 of those were 17 or under.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned a couple of terms, Ms. Shelbia, and I think it's important for people to understand terminology that's related to your work, just in case they come across something or whatever and don't know how to describe it. But I think that the three areas that we've kind of talked about tonight: labor trafficking, sex trafficking, and then you just mentioned familial trafficking. And so give us a little bit more of a definition, if you will, because it sounds like some of these are kind of intertwined, or could be, right?
They are. The familiar trafficking is just a family member that traffics someone.
Okay.
But if you look at human trafficking, it's, to understand it, it's exploiting a person through force, fraud, or coercion. And one important thing too that we haven't talked about tonight, and I think we must talk about it, is grooming. Because how do they get to our victims? They actually seek out people who are vulnerable and are easy to exploit. They have these weaknesses and vulnerabilities, and being a child, it makes you vulnerable because you are a child. So that's some of the things they do. They gain your trust, and they give you all these gifts and make promises to you. They isolate you. And when all those things happen, many times our young people can be caught up in trafficking. So we have to look at that as a vulnerability for our children. So that's a note for parents. Your kid they're vulnerable just because they're a child. And if they have low self-esteem, people prey on stuff like that. Maybe there's just it's maybe a single household, family household. They're gonna prey on that as well. So we have to make sure we know these things so we can make sure we cover our families and our kids, and we spread the word. Grooming is so real, and it happens all the time. Sometimes it's another child that's being, they're sending another child to your child to talk to and to lure them to the trafficker. So you have to know who your kids are hanging out with and talking.
Yes.
We're in that age right now, so it's so critical. It's so critical.
So we're talking about big money, aren't we?
Billions.
Really?
Yeah. There's a question from Marjorie McIver. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Do you have any info on sugar daddy sites with middle, high, and college students?
I don't have any info on sugar daddy sites. I'm sure that they're out there, and we could if we can try to find some information for you if you really want that later. Like, you can get in touch with me offline, and I can try to get some information for you. But I don't have information on sugar daddy sites. But there's all kind of stuff out there on the internet that I'm not aware of right now. So I don't know if Shelbia, if you have any information on the sugar daddy sites. I know that, there's a lot of sites out there where people sell themselves and, those kind of things. And I'm sure, and there's even sites out there where they're paying money to take pictures of your feet and things like that. They'll try to exploit you in any way. But if they want pictures of your feet, they want something else to you later on, But again, if you want to reach me offline, I'll be glad to try to research some of that and get some more information on the sugar daddy sites for you.
Okay, awesome. Well, I want to share the websites and also the Facebook page before we end this broadcast tonight. So, of course, the human trafficking website with the South Carolina Attorney General's office. I'm showing it here on the screen, and as you can see, there's a channel here for human trafficking. You can click there. Is there any place else that they need to go, Captain Smith, if they're on this site looking for information?
If you want to go down there to the awareness and prevention education, the calendars on there, the training, but the awareness and prevention education will give you everything you want. And tells you what's going on around the state, and it'll give you information, should give information about the regional task force as well. Okay.
Yes, I'm showing the information here. There's a downloadable PDF with a calendar of events, and South Carolina Human Trafficking Task Force, which is what Shelbia talked about a little bit earlier, and the SC Wax for Awareness campaign. So looks like this campaign just launched in January, at the beginning of January, and this is one of the campaigns that's designed basically to spread awareness about human trafficking on social media. And based on the graphic alone, it looks like it's definitely trying to appeal to a younger audience, or to be used in spaces where there are probably younger individuals or even their parents who are coming through. So this is a great website to visit. Also, what is the Traffic Proof SC wins the Silver Telly Award? What is this all about?
So that was through the South Carolina ETV that I was telling you about, the Traffic Proof South Carolina, the program that's out there for our schools that talks about human trafficking, but they have as for it's more about online safety and how to talk to your children about human trafficking and online safety. So it really is a good thing. And again, that's something that we're trying to get into all of our schools, and we're trying to work it into the Horry County schools. They're going to try to develop at one that's just for elementary school age. That's their goal for this year. When I was speaking to the task force chairperson earlier in the month, but that the WAGS program was one that was in January, and we partnered with our animal shelter to try to. And it was you gave out leashes, like dog leashes and bags that had the hotline number on it. So it was just a way to get that message out there to just different people, not just young people, but people of all ages, races, everybody, so that they have that information just right there if they ever need it. And again, I see you scrolling through. There's all kind of fact sheets, all kind of posters that you can put up around there. And a lot of this we download and we use and we take with us to leave with people, because it's always good whenever we go someplace, we like to leave some information behind so that they'll never get anything. So, and a lot of that we get from that. So from the AG's website, and again, like from the Blue Campaign, which is the Homeland Security website.
Well, this is a very comprehensive website. I must say, I'm impressed with the amount of information that's here and all these fact sheets that are actually addressing, either the different types of exploitation or, things that are kind of like tips and as this says, safety recommendations. So this is a great website to access, to share this information, especially if you're working with parents and young people in the community. So, thank you so much for sharing that with us. But also, I want to share Miss Shelbia's website as well for Engaging Minds. And you can kind of, walk us through that if there's anything special that you want everybody to know.
Well, the website has lots of things on it. If you want to download some of the information we have for human trafficking, you're welcome to download Recognizing the Science and other information that we have is on our website. If you want to volunteer, we have a volunteer application on the website. If you want us to come and speak to your organization, your church, you can fill out. There's also a link there that you could fill out for us to schedule an appointment for us to come speak at your church. So there are a lot of topics. If you need us for anything, just please reach out. If you have a client that you suspect that have been involved in human trafficking and these services, also reach out to us for that also. And I see you have my books up there. The one that I talk about, both of them. But if you look at Mental Exoneration, it talks about a life of abuse. That's actually my story. And then I have a children's book, but it's not to be put into the hands of a child. It's actually for parents to sit down and read it with their kids. Don't touch my golden parts, because our golden parts are anything underneath our clothes. So we do want to get that into the hands of people. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. You can find it at many locations. So yes.
Well, thank you so much. Very much so. And Shelbia, you just shared something that I don't know that many of us knew as we were listening to you tonight, but you are coming from a place of a lived experience. And, that's, first of all, thank you so much for being able to share your vulnerability and to use your experiences to actually help someone else in the community, or help others in the community to understand what this is all about and the impact of it. So, thank you very much for that. The Facebook page as well, you all mentioned earlier. I'm going to show the Facebook page just in case you want to check it out. Please follow. I imagine that there's great information that is shared from time to time through this page. So I had it up just a few moments ago. Let me get back to it. There it is. Okay, so this Facebook page here. Where are we? There it is. Okay, perfect. So this is the Coastal Region Human Trafficking Task Force page. Do you care to share, some of the information or what they can find on this page?
So what you can find on here is just information about anything we're doing in the community. This is something that we kind of revamped the page back in November, so it's just kind of getting a restart again. So you'll see some of the things we're involved in. It should have some information on there about the conference that we just had, or that Engaging Minds just had that we participated in. That's usually there, that we were there with the roundtable. That was the panel discussion with us there. So when it shows you the activities that we've been involved in, like down in October, we had the traffic proof, and then January, the courthouse being blue for National Human Trafficking Awareness. So you'll just see all kind of information like that, and it should tell you how to get in touch with us as well. People can leave us messages on the through the private message through our social media page. If they need to get in touch with us, they can do that as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, Brother Edward, we have received, a wealth of information tonight. Ms. Marjorie McIver says very informative. Thank you. And one other question as we kind of round this out, how many cases have been brought to justice in Horry County? And so from a litigation standpoint, are you successful in that respect as well?
We're working on that. Like I said, right now we have 3 that are pending in Horry County. So that's something that we're working on. And I tell people that the cases, the cases that we investigate, the investigations are long. They take several months, sometimes years, because we have to work with the victims first. We have to make sure that the victims, we have to kind of make them whole as much as we can, get them the help that they need, the services that they need, so that they can help law enforcement make the case against the trafficker. So it is a long process, but we're making strides, and I think that law enforcement is doing a better job in that respect. But we use services like Engaging Mind Services to help us, because without them and helping the victims, they can't help us.
Well, thank you so much again for joining us tonight on this very important topic. And Brother Edward, I think it's safe to say that if ever you want to revisit and give us an update on some of the things that you're doing, initiatives that you have in place, we certainly welcome you to come back anytime. And Shelbia, you can come back as well, since you all are the dynamic duo that we've identified. And if you want to bring on some of your other collaborators or partners, we have space for it here, and can definitely stretch the conversation out. But this was a very enlightening conversation. And for those of you who are viewing tonight, we do know that the material that was shared tonight is sensitive in nature. So as you are watching and listening, bear that in mind. But we do ask that you share the information with adults and partners or collaborators who are working in this arena, or who would like to know more about how they can volunteer or get involved to do this very important work in the community. And we hope that, as Ms. McIver said, this was very informative to all of you. And we definitely want to continue to bring topics like this to the community, to educate you on things that can empower us to make sure that the village is strong as we combat issues like this, right? So again, thank you both for joining us tonight. Brother Edward, you have the final word.
Well, I don't know if it's the final word now, but I certainly appreciate you all really taking the time, and I've been communicating back and forth with you, Sherry, for a while, and you've been awfully busy, but you manipulated and made some time there for this very important topic. And Miss Wiley, this is the first I've heard of your organization. I've seen you, I'm sure, with Sherry, but maybe I didn't grasp it at the time. But to me, it's a critical organization that's needed, and very smart, very creative of you all to collaborate together, because it's certainly working. It is working, apparently.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So we hope to
Absolutely.
have you all again. Whenever there's some new developments, or something that you want to talk about that's happening, and you think that the rest of the community needs to know, because this is a community broadcast.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, we just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and we really appreciate the support each and every week. Thank you, Shelby Wiggins and Miranda Sherman, all the way down in I think Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for watching, and Reggie Dyson and others who joined us tonight, Mary Skinner Jones. Again, we appreciate the support every single week. And so we know that there's some bad weather that's moving into the area, icy cold weather. Just stay warm and stay safe. And we hope to see you the same time next week, next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Stay tuned for the promos. And again, we appreciate all of the support and for you watching tonight. So thank you very much. And thank you to our special guests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Godspeed.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook.